Hello, today we're recording this video just to help teachers and parents to know more about children with speech articulation difficulties. Okay.
So how can you tell if a child has articulation disorders?
Right, okay. What happens is that children typically start learning sounds that require us using the lips. So sounds like M, P, B sound, M, 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 P, 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 B, B, B type of sounds would be easier for them. And then from there, children will progress on to, obviously learning more and more sounds, T sounds, D sounds, so they can say daddy, G sounds, K sounds, so they can say cars and things like that. So there's a developmental order for sounds that we expect for different ages, okay? So a rough guide for parents or teachers to be aware of is that obviously a good guide is to compare to the peers. If the child's speech is very much more difficult to understand compared to their peers, you should have some cause for concern. Okay, and usually by the time a child is about 3.5 to 4, they really should be able to use sentences with speech sounds that are intelligible and understandable to people outside the families. So they, should be able to communicate with other people. Yeah, there are a few sounds that are a little bit more difficult. Things like TH sounds, the sounds like thank you, maybe R sounds. So it's always good to also, if you're really concerned, to actually seek professional advice, like a speech and language therapist, so they can advise you whether, okay, it's a sound that you don't need to worry about, or it's something that you really should be, a little bit more concerned about and can do something about it. Okay?
So will my child be able to speak normally?
Right. Okay. Again, usually when it comes to articulation difficulties, just like with other difficulties in reading or language issues, there's obviously a range of difficulties. So some children may only have some mild difficulties. Maybe they have difficulty only with certain sounds, one particular sound. Maybe they can't manage, L sound because they can't manage the tongue movements. Okay. With some other children, they may have more severe difficulties. Maybe sometimes for such children, even hearing, whether or not the sound is correct, maybe a problem for them, and then maybe more sounds they're not able to say, so the difficulty may be more severe for them. There is a range, okay, but typically speech and language therapists are trained to deal with children who have difficulties, so they'll be able to help the children kind of like progress step by step and learn the sounds.
Is it common?
Okay, I would say that the statistics are that maybe about 1 in 7 children, will have some difficulties. Again, it depends on the severity. So with some children, you just need to show them. You just slow down the speech and show them. Okay, this is for example, we say star, or we say school, or you get them to really look at how you move your mouth, move your tongue, and so forth, and they're able to correct themselves. With some other children, they need pretty intensive speech and language therapy to resolve it.
So how can parents and teachers help the child?
Okay. Again, there's a range of different things that again depending on the child's severity, I guess. So in some cases, maybe if you consult a speech therapist, just get an idea. Okay, which sounds I should be concerned about. Get an idea how to show the child how to make the correct movements with the tongue, with the lips. It's that alone may be sufficient. Okay, so with some other children, maybe what is normally easy for their peers, maybe you see something, okay, today we're learning about the letter CH sounds is ch, and we can say words like chair, we can say words like chocolate. For say 4-year-old, such a word maybe just a very simple small step. For a child with speech difficulties, it may be quite a big step for them. So what we need to do is to break that big step down into small little intermediate steps and actually progress. And what's important is to actually make sure we follow the progress from really small little steps right all the way up to the original level, which is that the child can say the sound very easily. Okay, so sometimes what happens is that maybe we address the issue of teaching the children to say the sounds on its own, and they can say just the ch sound, or they can say just the s sound. But maybe the next level is also something else that the child needs help with. Maybe they need to be able to say the sound and link it to the rest of the word. So they might be able to say s very well, but they can't actually move on to the rest of the word and say something like sock. Okay, or maybe they can say ch very well, but they can't actually move on and link it to the rest of the word like ch. share. So what's really important is to actually work with a speech therapist so that we can actually guide the child and make sure they reach all the way to the level where they're able to say the sounds. And it may not be about just able to say the sounds. What's more important is that they can say the sound very easily, so they don't really have to think about it, okay? Kind of independently, so they don't need people to provide a cue for them and say it like this, say it like that. And also to be able to say it very consistently. In other words, they can say anywhere. They can say when they're talking to their friends, when they're talking to their family, when they're talking to their teachers. So being able to say it, very easily, very independently and very consistently. That's what we're aiming for. Right. Okay. So I think that's all we'll talk about for today. Thank you.